Another important diplomacy story, Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi is in Kyiv after wrapping up his two-day visit in Poland. And this is the first visit by Prime Minister Modi to Ukraine since its independence from the Soviet Union back in 1991. Prime Minister Modi arrived at Kyiv Central Railway Station from Poland to begin his one-day visit to Ukraine. The Prime Minister was on board a Polish train for a 15 to 20-hour journey that took him straight to Kyiv. He has been welcomed by members of the Indian diaspora at the station. The visuals on your screens show the Prime Minister's cavalcade making its way to his place of stay in the Ukrainian capital. Prime Minister Modi is expected to hold talks with Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky and share perspective on a peaceful resolution for the ongoing conflict between Russia and Ukraine. The Prime Minister's visit to Kyiv comes nearly 6 weeks after his high-profile trip to Moscow. The US and some of its Western allies have criticized the trip, even as India maintains its stance of calling for peaceful resolution through talks since the beginning of the conflict in 2022. An Indian Prime Minister's visit to Ukraine is a first in nearly 3 long decades, and there is a close eye for all sorts of emerging signals, especially coming as it does in the backdrop of the Russia-Ukraine war. Indian diaspora in Ukraine is also looking forward to Prime Minister Modi's visit. Many of them see a glimmer of hope amid the turmoil. Now, our principal diplomatic correspondent Siddhant Sibal sends us a report outside the palace, the official residence of President Zelensky. Take a look.
I'm here at the residence of President Zelensky. We are inside. In a short while from now, the Indian Prime Minister and President Zelensky will be holding talks. This is also the place where the famous Telugu movie RRR was shot. This movie, of course, became a blockbuster globally as well. But essentially, when it comes to the big conversation, everyone will be closely watching the big outcomes and, of course, how the Indian side provides more assistance to Ukrainian side and also helping Ukraine in post-war reconstruction efforts. The Indian government, of course, has emphasized on dialogue and diplomacy and as to how no solution can come on the battlefield, and essentially the focus will be on both sides coming together for dialogue. That will be the message by New Delhi. But the fact that the Indian Prime Minister is here in Kyiv will be a strong show of support for President Zelensky. With video journalist Neeraj Patel, Siddhant Sibal for WION at President Zelensky's residence in Kyiv, Ukraine.
Now, those are some live visuals coming in from the Ukrainian capital of Kyiv, where the Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi has just landed hours ago after his two-day trip to Poland. Now, on your screens, you can see him greeting the Indian diaspora who are living in Ukraine and also folding his hands and greeting the statue of Mahatma Gandhi, the father of the Indian nation. Now, remember, Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi arrived in the war-hit Ukraine and is expected to share perspectives on peaceful resolution of the ongoing conflict when he meets President Volodymyr Zelensky later today. The visit also comes nearly 6 weeks after his high-profile trip to Moscow, which is what's very important in the timeline. That, of course, triggered criticism from the US and some of its Western allies, but this is exactly India extending its unbiased opinion and unbiased stance on the Ukraine-Russia war. The Prime Minister arrived in Kyiv from Poland on board a Rail Force 1 train that took around 10 to 12 hours in the second and final leg of his two-nation trip. He was accompanied by Foreign Minister S. Jaishankar and also National Security Advisor. As we also told you earlier in the broadcast, Prime Minister Modi will hold one-on-one and delegation-level talks with President Volodymyr Zelensky with the focus on ways to find a negotiated settlement to the Russia-Ukraine conflict. And what is also important in all of this is that it's the first visit by an Indian Prime Minister to Ukraine since the country became independent back in 1991 from Soviet Russia.
For all the latest news, download the WION app and subscribe to our YouTube channel.